Right, let's get down to business. This week, we're talking the future of books as seen through tech-tinted spectacles.
Yep. Once upon a time, there was a fair maiden of unparalleled beauty. She was long, of auburn hair. Her name was Princess Suzi.
And across the valley lived a dashing poet prince to whom the princess had grown inordinately fond.
Yes, but their love for each other was unrequited because he could not find the medium through which to express his true feelings.
Yes, and the princess became sick with worry. How would she convey her passion across those valleys?
Guys, sorry. I feel like a bit of a gooseberry. No, but it's great stuff. What the guys are trying to say, all right, just to move on, is that this week's challenge is all about using technology to communicate a tale, tech to update a classic.
Our challenge began in a place where, unusually, technology is not high on the agenda. It's like some sort of archaic e-reader, but made out of paper.
Yes. This week, we are on a literary mission because our task is to become 21st century authors.
Paper books may be old hat, but that doesn't mean the novel is a dying breed. E-book sales grew by 20% last year, and publishers are looking for even more innovative ways to reach their audience. So, what's the future of the book?
Well, it's our job to find out. Our challenge is to take a 19th century book and give it a digital makeover. Now, I've chosen Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days.
Nice.
What have you got?
An unmitigated classic, Dracula.
Oh, yeah. Sexy. Hey, let's just hope your adaptation doesn't suck.
Very fun. We've designed our own tech before, from apps to toys to computer games.
It's fantastic.
But adapting a classic book was a different kettle of fish, especially as we were to be judged by an expert. But I knew what route I wanted my adaptation to take. As a massive comic book fan, I was sure I would find a way to turn Dracula into a work of graphic genius. And so, rather excitedly, I've come here to the London Film and Comic Convention for some fanboy inspiration. Now, in case you're wondering, comic books are very gadgety, not just because of the characters that have extra robotic limbs, but because of the platforms you can get them on these days. Now, there are hundreds of comics available on Android alone. Look, hundreds of them. And one download later, I have a digital comic that I can take with me absolutely anywhere. Then there are webcomics, which can range from simple static comics to read online to hugely explorable interactive experiences, just the kind of thing that might work for Dracula.
Meanwhile, I'd been doing some research of my own.
Now, I'm not certain, but I reckon that Otis is going to go for a comic because they are the only things that he talks about more than gadgets. I want to stay true to a novel, to the heart, to the feel, to the soul.
I needed some inspiration.
Have a look at this site. It's called Unbound, and it's really interesting. It enables authors to get their books published using crowdfunding.
The author gets a whole bunch of fans to pledge small amounts of money. Then, if enough money is raised, the book gets published, and the donors get a first edition and their name in the book.
Have a look at this dinosaur book, but special, with augmented reality. So if I just hold it up to the web camera, a little crate pops up, and I can control it. I can open the crate, get the dinosaur out of the egg. Come on, little fella.
And I'd used augmented reality before in our advertising challenge.
Oh, Suzi Perry!
And won.
It's really great to see that on a consumer level, it's in lots of books. It's like the modern pop-up book.
I now had my heart set on an online comic, but I needed to make sure I got the basics right first. Tell me, what is it about comics that you love so much?
If you haven't got good artwork, you're not going to want to read the comic again.
Which is most important to you, artwork or storyline?
If I don't like the artwork, I find it irritating when I read it, so I have to like the artwork, and then the storyline has to be good as well.
Drawing obviously is important.
Yes.
But the visual storytelling is really crucial.
Okay, the artwork, escapism.
And obviously on computer you've got some different options, haven't you?
Yes.
Doing it online.
Yes.
Because then you can scroll down or you can have page turning,
yep.
all those different options.
It was obvious that good artwork is a must. I needed to find some great tech to help me draw my Drac.
Meanwhile, I'd found what seemed to be the most popular platform for innovation, the iPad app.
If you release a novel on an iPad, iBook or an app, there is loads of room for interactivity. Tons of stuff that you can do. Sound, vision, videos.
There are hundreds out there, but if I wanted to add to them, I needed to find what made a great one. I asked some of the bookshop staff about their favourite apps. A top choice was T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland, which had shed loads of extra content, including original manuscripts.
So essentially what you've got is the poem with that entire world around it.
Exactly.
But I didn't want my app to come across like an encyclopedia or a kid's cartoon.
It needs to be the story rather than the animation, because if you want an animation...
You'd watch a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
What I need to do is to create an interactive element that forwards the story, that becomes part of the story.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds so simple. Not.
I'd found a fantastic gadget, one used by some of the finest comic artists around to draw their masterpieces, the Wacom Cintiq 21UX.
It's incredible.
The drawing implement is not just a stylus, it's an incredibly sensitive digital pen that can recognise 2,048 different levels of pressure from your hand.
The only thing that's missing from this setup is my ability to draw.
I'd have to do what Gadget Show presenters have been doing since the dawn of time. Use a shortcut.
I found this on the iPhone. It takes your photos and turns them into comic-style sketches in real time. Something like this would be ideal, and no one need ever know.
Do you know what I've got to say, guys? I'm loving your research in this challenge because I know that there's a lot of people that find the transition from paper to digital reading a little bit difficult, and I, for one, am so enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, I will confess to being one of those people who...
A purist.
Initially sceptical about it. I've got thousands of comics.
You're an old-school comic fan, aren't you?
Definitely, but having done some research and looked at some of the research that you've done as well, I am encouraged by the diversity that there is, the potential. It's very exciting.
These are really exciting times. The interactivity of an app is so fascinating. Could bring a completely new market to literature, couldn't it?
I've got to say, my children would choose an app-based book over any other medium. Alice in Wonderland, the Toy Story books that have got movies and games in them. They even teach them how to write and spell. Yeah. It's very exciting stuff.
Tons of possibilities, and there's lots more to come in this challenge.
Welcome back. Now, I want to talk to you about waterproof cameras, whether you're using them on holiday by the pool or just walking out in the pouring rain. A waterproof camera is a really handy gadget to own and something we should all consider adding to our gadget arsenal. But if you're going to get one, you want to make sure you're getting the best. And how do you know what that is? Well, stay right where you are, right now, and watch me on the telly for the next 5 minutes. To test the cameras, I found some of the meanest, gnarliest, roughest rapids I could, and took this Pentax, this Olympus, and this Sony along for the ride. First up, the Pentax WG1, which is shockproof to 1.5 metres, waterproof to 10 metres, and crushproof to 100 kilograms. So, it's built for a fight, but can it take decent pictures? It's got 5 times optical zoom, an excellent 14 megapixel sensor, so yes, the image quality is great. The menu options include panorama, a super magnification function, and a face detection system with smile recognition. There's also an underwater mode that corrects for any colour loss and distortion, and 5 LEDs illuminate subjects at short range, producing some decent results in the cloudy currents. My only quibbles are that at 2.7 inches, the screen is a little bit measly, and the graphics are a bit cheap by today's standards. But how would the Pentax handle when the going got bumpy? It was time to get on my tube and hit the rapids. And we're off. Oh, bitch! Oh, boy! Do you know what? This camera's actually nice to use because it's so large in the hand, it's quite rugged. Oh, bridge. And the buttons are a little bit oversized, which is great because when you're in conditions like this, that let's say, rock, aren't quite the smoothest, then it means you're still able to use your camera effectively. And the camera's digital shake reduction system was equally effective, delivering some very sharp snaps. That is, when yours truly remembered to get her finger off the lens. On On to camera 2, the Olympus TG610. This also has a 14 megapixel sensor and 5 times optical zoom, but at 5 meters is waterproof to only half the depth of the Pentax. So my first impressions are that in spite of having a very cool lens cover, the camera doesn't really look that rugged, but I love the 3-inch LCD screen. Very easy to read, and the graphics give the Olympus a real premium feel. The TG610 has some interesting special effects settings, like this fisheye one, and also gives you a choice of 5 different underwater modes, though none produce the clarity of the Pentax. But back in my rubber ring, the Olympus threw up a bigger problem. I've got a real issue with this camera. It's taking forever to load the pictures. And therefore, I'm not going to be able to get as many shots as I'd want to if you're doing something kind of action-based, such as this. The buttons were also fiddly to use compared to the first camera. However, when I did manage to get a snap, the dual optical and digital stabilization systems produced some great results, easily matching the Pentax. And last but not least, the Sony DSC TX10, which squeezes a whopping 16 megapixel sensor and 3-inch touchscreen into its dainty dimensions. This is the most expensive out of the 3, so it's quite disappointing to learn that it's only waterproof to 5 meters, and it's got the smallest 4 times optical zoom of the 3. However, there's quite a bit of tech going on inside, including a 3D panoramic setting. This also has an HDR mode, so it takes 3 individual photos at different exposure levels. Then it combines the 3 photos to create a perfectly detailed picture. And it worked, producing the highest quality shots of all 3 cameras overall. Though once underwater, the Sony seemed a little out of its depth. So finally, how would the TX10 perform on the water? So first impressions, great screen, very bright, crystal clear, very easy to see exactly what you're taking photos of. Oops! Now the only problem is, water, I have just got the screen wet. And knowing that it's a touch screen, that now means I don't stand a chance of being able to change any mode or any other function on the camera. Provided you don't need to alter anything on the go, the Sony is capable of delivering excellent results. But the reality is, it's just not cut out for this type of adventure. And so to my G ratings. With 3 Gs, it's the Sony. As an everyday snapper, the list of functions, compact packaging and overall image quality makes it the winner here. But as an easy-to-use action camera, it's too smart for its own good. Also with 3 Gs is the Olympus. This is the cheapest camera of the 3, yet it feels expensive and takes excellent shots. However, it's let down by fiddly controls and slow image capture speed. But the winner with 4 Gs is the Pentax. It might lack the premium feel, but if you're after a rugged, go-anywhere camera that gets you the results no matter what, this is the one to go for.
Excellent gadget testing there from Polly. Now, for a complete change of subject, I want to talk to you about broadband. I think it's fair to say it's become as essential a utility to most of us as electricity or gas, and we keep using more and more of it. The amount of data consumed by the average household more than doubles every couple of years. So, we want it, we need it, we love it. The trouble is, with hidden data caps and a plethora of different speed choices and tariffs, finding the right broadband deal for you can seem impossible, which is where I come in. Choosing the right broadband deal is no walk in the park. There are a number of important things to consider. Just like theme park rides, the most compelling and addictive ingredient of a good broadband deal is speed. Along with price, speed is often the attention grabber. But how fast do you really need? These days, 2 megabits per second is the absolute minimum speed you should be looking for. It's still rather pedestrian, but it's okay for email and basic web use. It's a pity that stopped. I rather enjoyed that. And the speed you get will depend on where you live. I mean, here in the kids' zone, I'm not going to find any white-knuckle rides at all. Similarly, many rural areas struggle to get even 3 megabits per second, less than half the current UK average of 6.8. And don't forget, at peak times, everyone wants a piece of the action, which means everything can slow down to a crawl. You could find yourself spending more time waiting for web pages than enjoying them. But speed isn't the only thing you need to consider. It's important to think about what you're going to use your broadband for, because that determines how much data you require. For example, a deal with a monthly 10 gig data limit may look cheap, but download a couple of movies and some music each week, you'll soon burn through that. And if you exceed your data limit, you'll end up paying through the nose. So inevitably, many of us will demand our broadband delivers a few more kicks. In fact, if you've got lots of people or heavy broadband needs in your home, then go for the fastest, highest data limit you can afford. For a typical family, doing a bit of gaming, watching TV programmes, downloading music often on multiple computers at the same time, then an 8 meg speed with a monthly download limit of 20 gigs is what I'd recommend. I'm beginning to feel a bit on the queasy side. However, for the ultimate internet thrill-seekers among us, that still won't be enough. Honestly, do I have to? It's a piece on broadband. You can now get downloads of up to 100 megabits in this country. And unlimited downloads ensuring you can take advantage of all the internet has to offer. But be careful, because unlimited download packages usually have fair usage clauses, which means internet providers can bring you to a grinding halt if they think you're downloading too much. So, lots to consider, but here are my recommendations. If your internet use is limited, then I'd recommend PlusNet Value Broadband. With prices from £6.49 a month, you get UK-based customer service and unlimited downloading between the hours of midnight and 8 a.m. And for a family package suitable for multiple users with a 20 gigabyte monthly data limit, I'd recommend the B Value package. £17 a month gives you 12 megabits per second from a provider that does consistently well on all of the comparison websites. Ooh, this is a big quiz making. Woo! And for the ultimate package, there's Virgin's 50 megabit XXL, if you can get it in your area. The price has recently been slashed from £50 to just £25 a month. And Virgin has boasted that the service will allow you to download a full 15 gigabyte HD film in just 45 minutes.
Welcome back. Now it's time for a top 5. And if you're an animal, and I mean that literally, then you're going to love this, all right? So come here, perk up your little fluffy ears, come over this way. Hello, Cheeky. Hello, Cheeky. Sit down. Sit down. There we go. Sit. Right. Now, I know that generally the nearest you get to a gadget is a kind of, you know, plastic bone that squeaks when you chew it. But actually, there's a whole range of fantastic pet-orientated technology out there for little pooches like you, or kittens, or cute little hamsters. So here it is, my top 5 pet gadgets. Yeah, little wubba chips. Yeah, you like that? There you go. Oh, you like that one, the chinny winning? They're cute and cuddly, but these lodgers at Battersea Dogs and Cats Home in Windsor aren't just lap candy. They're also voracious consumers of tech. And with over 20 million dogs and cats in UK homes, it's little wonder that the market in animal gadgets has gone through the roof. We checked out a whole litter of pet gadgets, and here are our top dogs. At 5, a techie food bowl designed to keep your pet's stomach happy.
I'm going to give you 5 meals, but you can't have them all now, all right? And preventing you from doing that is this ingenious device, which can be timed to deliver 5 meals, all right? How many kittens have you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's you. So that's perfect. You can feed the whole family.
The Pet Save 5 can be simply programmed to deliver nosh over as long as a week.
I just like this, you know, it's really well designed, it's easy to clean, and this dispenser is just logical. She's eating, she's eating, she's eating.
And number 4, a gadget that provides exercise for man's best friend and helps you improve your golf swing. Right, go on, mate, you ready? Here we go. Ready, ready, ready. Woo! Woo! Excellent! The Hyperdog Doggy Driver boasts a tapered steel shaft, a golfing grip, and a guarantee that you can always keep that slobbery ball at arm's length. Come here, you monkey. Give me the ball! And number 3, a gadget that makes brushing your dog a breeze. It's the Dyson Groom. That's the hair that would ordinarily have been clogging up your house. Just expertly removed. Look at that. Once the Dyson Groom's wire bristles have collected the dog hair, they retract, releasing the hairs so they can be sucked away.
The Spandau Ballet quiff I'm going for there with Tufty on the back there.
At 2, the litter robot, a gadget that removes cat poo, real or virtual.
We're going to put that in the litter robot. The cat litter that you can see, that's the white stony stuff in there, starts to turn. The litter drains through the mesh. The poo stays on top and then gets jettisoned into this thing here.
The litter robot automatically senses when your cat has finished its business and then activates.
Look, see, Mommy Cat actually shares my fascination with robotics. Yay, that's brilliant. Look, virtue poo scooped up by a robot, eh? Isn't technology wonderful?
And at number 1, a system that solves the pet owner's most frequent problem. Gromit, where are you, boy? Here, boy. Gromit! Well, now you see, old Gromit has legged it. Normally, that might mean it'd be off, living with another family. But now, thanks to technology, all that has changed. I've got a snazzy piece of technology called Retriever Collar. The system comes in 2 parts. The pet bit is a collar that contains a SIM card. And then there's the phone, with which I can text the collar this way to find out where Gromit is. There's even a tracking app that automatically updates his location every 30 seconds. Listen, I want to go and play some golf ball stuff. Some ball golf. I thought you might want to go and play some ball golf. I can't find you anywhere, buddy. Hey?
Now it's time to return to this week's challenge, in which me and him delve into the techie future of books.
Yes, Susie and I set ourselves a rather highbrow task of taking a classic novel and giving it a gadget-fueled makeover.
Yeah, I chose this, Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne.
And I chose this, Dracula by Bram Stoker.
Now, in Chapter 1, we did our research and we focused our thinking on what type of techie book we wanted to create.
We return now to our story. It's time for Chapter 2, entitled Suzi and Ortis Make Their Books. Now, we both had a good idea of what form our digital novels would take. I wanted mine to be a kick-ass interactive webcomic. It's incredible.
And I wanted to maintain the feel of a proper book, but enhance it as an interactive app.
Oh, that sounds so simple.
But neither of us could go it alone. We both needed to recruit some help. Look at this, it's called Dead on Arrival. It uses photographs. Now that's exactly how I want to tell my Dracula story, and I have to get the guy behind this onto Team Dracula. So I tracked down its creator, Matt Gibson. Matt.
Hi Otis, how are you doing?
To his place of work, a digital design agency called Cyberduck.
I originally created Dead on Arrival quite a few years ago, so to do something now we could obviously do a lot more, make it a lot more creative. Yep. And really take the web to the edge of its limits.
Excellent. Now, Matt, we haven't got time to render the whole book, so I figured we could focus on chapters 3 and 4, where the main character enters Dracula's castle, and it's then he realises that he is in the lair of the Prince of Darkness. Yeah?
Otis didn't know it, but I'd already engaged my own experts, designers Pentacore.
Right, guys, I want you to help me to create an app from this book.
We decided to use the whole of my book and make one sample chapter fully interactive.
So what I'd want to do is not to detract from the original fantastic story that this is, but add an extra layer of thickness, if you like, an extra layer of interactivity.
Yeah.
What do you think?
The setting itself is perfect for the current steampunk style.
Steampunk?
It's like basically a modern interpretation of Victorian and sort of period Edwardian times, so it's stylistically very in at the moment.
In the book, Phileas Fogg gets the idea of racing around the world from a newspaper article, so we decided to use the newspaper as our homepage.
You'd go to that to see where you are within the book or go into the different chapters.
That's a really lovely way of doing it.
Soon the design process was flying along.
Would that not be better if it was looking older?
Back in the dark and twisted world of Dracula, it was time to get some photos. So it was off to a location armed with a fabulous costume for a bit of artistry.
Ah, yes, finally! My transformation is complete. I am Count Dracula. Well, actually, having said that, with Comic Booth 3, it's not quite as dark as I would like it.
Instead, I decided I'd go for the prose option. I snapped my scenes minus the comic effect with the aim of adding it afterwards. Back at Cyberduck, Matt used Photoshop to add a custom-made comic book effect, plus some vampirical extras.
Nice. I think I used to own some contacts that made me look like that. You know, back in the rave era. Really cool.
Meanwhile, at Pentacore, Harry and Lon had drafted in app developers one result to bring our designs to life.
We can integrate with Google Maps for the locations, can add another great layer to the app.
You know where it gets cold in chapter 31?
Okay.
Would like it if you felt cold somehow when you were reading it.
What we could do is get a kind of sound effect of kind of like ice freezing, and the screen could kind of mist up.
If it does mist up, we don't want to lose the words completely. But if you do rub and the words come clear again, that's quite nice.
I'd also had the bright idea of adding a 360-degree video of the famous locations in the book, using a Sony Bloggie with 360-degree attachment.
This is the Reform Club, the place where Phileas Fogg made his fateful bet.
But it didn't work out as I planned.
The quality of it kind of makes it look like it was shot on a...
Oh, is that it? Yeah, it doesn't work, does it?
The Bloggie's video quality just wasn't good enough for a large-scale app, but the boys had a solution. Google Street View.
Yeah, that's good.
So,
all right.
We couldn't do everything, but we've done something.
Yeah.
If I still wanted to impress the judge, I'd have to pull out all the stops.
On the other hand, my comic was going swimmingly.
In fact, it's so good, it'll definitely raise the stakes. Stakes.
We'd created an interactive fight scene using QR barcodes. Scanning the code with a smartphone would activate an image of a cross, which I held to the webcam to fight my nemesis.
And you've got 60 seconds
60
now
seconds?
to stop Dracula, basically.
Okay, so now I've got to show this cross to the webcam. There it is! My cross is there! Yes! Back, you fiend! I have just defeated Dracula. Well, in a sense, I've just killed myself.
As our day of literary judgment drew nearer, our teams were working flat out to get our adaptations finished.
I love that. Really, really good.
And I just found the thing to add a little extra dazzle.
This is my secret weapon.
The giant iTab is a massive monitor that can replicate apps for multiple platforms, and it was time to see it in action with mine.
Yay! I love it. It's just what I wanted.
Guys, I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
I'm excited.
So, there they are, Otis's graphic novel extraordinaire, with some amazing technology behind it, and featuring your good-looking self.
Yes, yes, yes.
And Suzi, your app is enchanting.
Looks amazing.
It uses magical technology, does things that I think weren't even possible until you tried to do these things. Some really interesting effects, but it's not me that's judging it. You know this. We have a very special judge.
We do.
Okay, you're going to be an esteemed company very soon, where you're taken from this place and placed in front of one of the UK's, in fact, one of the world's most famous novelists, and he is going to deal out the judgment.
Well, you've made me feel quite nervous now
me
after
too.
that build-up.
I'm feeling nervous.
Yeah.
You should be. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back. Now, Suzi and I, both sat here on the sofa, are feeling, well, nervous would be an understatement, wouldn't it?
I'm mildly terrified.
Yeah, that's about right.
So, as you know, in this week's challenge, we've gone all literary. We've had to create a sort of futuristic, techie version of a couple of our favourite classic novels.
Yeah, we've done that, and now we're about to be judged by a superbly brilliant and hugely successful proper novelist.
Yeah, humiliation is literally just around the corner. We shouldn't delay. Yeah, I mean literally, like we have to go round the corner.
Oh, we have to leave?
Yeah.
Oh, you should have said.
After weeks of work, the day of reckoning was upon us.
And judging our efforts would be a powerhouse of literature, Ian Banks, the acclaimed author of 26 books, selling millions of copies worldwide.
A man with a cruel sense of humour, as he'd kept us stewing before our presentations. I will confess to being a little bit nervous. I mean, this is Ian Banks.
I know.
Ian M. Banks to his sci-fi followers.
Yes.
He won't hold back.
No, he won't hold back.
When our nerves were suitably jangling, it was time to make our presentations, and I was up first.
Hello, Ian. Very nice to meet you.
Good to see you.
Thank you for coming in today. May I give you this iPad that I know you're very familiar with?
Yes, you may. Thank you.
Ian opened the app, and I took up my position to guide him through the giant version.
Now, this is the start of the interaction, to make people feel as though they are part of the story.
Straight away, Ian was impressed with our 19th century design features.
Oh, that's clever, yeah.
but it was the elements of the story linked to maps that really intrigued him.
I think a lot of people might not know that the Reform Club was actually a real place, which is obviously
of course, yes.
an integral part of the novel itself. And the Reform Club is still there in
Of course, yeah.
And Street View, which we'd added last, went down a treat.
It really adds to the experience. But I think because it's not something that's compulsory, as it were, it's something you can go to if you want to. It's nice to know that it's there. Fascinating idea.
Thank you.
This looks really cool.
Plus, he loved the integrated social networking.
So it's basically a sort of book club based on this one book. That's also very clever, yeah.
My interactive chapter had the frozen pages, plus an animated sledge that the reader had to move across the page. But worryingly, I found myself having to guide Ian through it.
This page where you'll see a little sledge.
Sledge with a sail on it, yeah. Obscuring some of the text, it has to be said.
Well spotted, Ian.
Aha!
Now, it won't move with your finger, so what you have to do is...
Blow it? You're kidding, really?
You're brilliant.
Oh, it's working. Yeah, there it goes.
Yeah?
Oh.
There you go.
How dreadfully cunning.
He'd got the idea now, but did he like it?
I think stuff like that potentially is a little distracting. It might be a bit annoying for some people, but I think the general idea is to simply make the experience of reading the book more interesting. Then I think for the majority of people, I think that's going to work. I'm already thinking of ways that I can persuade my publishers to incorporate stuff like this into my novels. So,
With Suzi's presentation looking discouragingly good, it was over to me.
How do you do? Right, you don't want to look at this anymore.
I'd chosen a 55-inch TV to show off our animated graphics. Now, I could stand back and let Ian use the cursor to scroll through the completed webcomic.
oh, spooky. Well, that's very, it seems to be atmospheric. Oh, sound effects as well. Crikey. It's you!
I had been concerned that Ian wouldn't like my self-portraits. After all, they were doctored photos rather than hand-drawn artwork. Far from it. And he loved how the foreground and background moved independently.
So you're looking through into something deeper,
That's
which
right.
is nice.
This was going well, although...
It's meant to be a horror story.
Sorry, I'm reacting inappropriately.
Would being trapped in a dungeon make Ian take it more seriously?
So
we're in full game mode here, aren't we?
This here is a very interactive section. There are objects that you can click on.
Obviously, in some ways, it's more of a game in a sense.
Yes.
But, isn't necessarily a bad thing.
He was becoming more immersed in the story. Would my awesome tech-packed finale complete his conversion to the dark side of literature?
You have a smartphone?
I do.
Ian had no trouble using a barcode scanner to bring up my secret weapon, the crucifix.
Okay, so you now have a cross. No, keep holding it up. Keep holding it up. Keep holding it up. There we are. Ah, yes. Back, you vampire. And then continue to scroll to the right.
Dracula is dead.
Count Dracula is dead. There you are. I hope you enjoyed that, Ian.
It was enormous fun, yes. It's limiting in a sense. You have to have all that gear around you. You obviously have to have your phone, and it has to be a smartphone, obviously, not just an ordinary phone, etc. So I suppose as long as it's all there, it's fine.
Well, thanks again, Ian.
Not at all, my pleasure.
I'll leave you to deliberate and make your decision.
I shall.
Thank you.
We'd done our best. Now it was all down to Ian.
Well, guys, being a fan of the show, I know how much it all means to you, who wins and who loses. Deeply impressed with both. I love the presentation. I love the look of what it is one, and it's actually really funny as well. There was a degree of hooting and laughter. Suzi's adaptation, again, I love the look. A very different look, obviously, like using a sort of steampunk look. I think both have genuinely sort of moved the game on. In the end, I'm going to go for Suzi. Right? I'm being purist here because I'm a writer. I'm a writer, and it's the words that really matter. I think Ortis has been the most daring in that sense. I think you've been the most respectful. The fact that the words are all there, and that what Suzi's done with the added layers, as it were, that simply works better for me. That is my decision. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Oh. Do you know, though, as far as Gadget Show challenges go, I think that might have been one of the closest ever. I thought yours was so clever and very, very funny.
I really think we both upped our game in this one, actually. Both really good
fun.
ideas. Yeah.
I thought they're both really clever because they're both really exciting ways of making the classics more accessible.
Yeah.
Oh, and can I just say, Ian Banks was a fantastic guest and judge. Thank you so much for joining us on this one. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much all we've got time for tonight. However, we do just have a little bit of very big news.
Yeah, a little bit of very big news indeed. We're returning to Monday nights at 8 o'clock.
Yes, where we belong.
Yes.
Just as you were getting used to Fridays, we're now moving back to Mondays.
Yes, so only 3 days to wait until the next show. We'll see you then.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.